It even started way back in Sea Otter. Me and Sean Palmer one year said, "Hey, white t-shirt and jeans to race," because he wasn't riding for Specialized anymore, and I didn't have a bike sponsor. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And that's when I was at DC. So I sent 8 pairs of white shoes there, and it ended up raining. So I had a box at the finish line with a box of shoes. So every lap I did, I put on a brand new pair of shoes.
BMX Breakthrough is bridging the gap from old school to new school, from tracks to manufacturers, from new riders to their local tracks, and it doesn't stop at racing, but the mission is to connect people with bikes. Join me, Jay Oaks, as I interview key people in the sport and in the industry that are involved in their local circles, in their communities, at their local tracks, and aiming to make a difference on a local level. You'll hear stories, marketing tips, failures, successes, and a way to make a difference in your local BMX community. Let's dive in as we kick off this next episode. Dwayne, I'm so excited to have a conversation with you. We've gotten to know each other a little bit, but will you start by introducing yourself, telling us who you are, and then I'll dive into a few more questions for you.
I'm Dwayne Taylor. My title changed at Mongoose. So it used to be the brand ambassador, but now I am a rider athlete now for Mongoose Bicycles, but I'm still in charge of overseeing BMX racing, a little bit of mountain bike, and some scooter stuff. I'm also known in the world as the real 44 because I will be 44, the number 44 till the day I die.
That is awesome. What is your, I guess, a quick summary of your journey in BMX?
I started BMX really late when I was like 16. I was running track and playing football. I got hurt in track and I couldn't run anymore. So I pretty much lost the opportunity for all my scholarships and everything that were being thrown at me at the time. And I grew up in Gilroy, California, and Jimmy Garcia from the Flying Garcia brothers was probably, I think he was the first person I met when we moved to town in junior high. And we've been friends ever since. And he raced bikes. And so I would go watch him race. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I play football, I run track, you know? And then I had my crazy 24-inch Western Flyer bike. I'd go to the jumps with them on and stuff, and we'd ride around town. And I thought it was super cool, but I was still focusing on other stuff. Then I got hurt, and I was just like, I still want to go fast. And so I was like, I want to try this BMX stuff. And my friend Mark Wells, his sister stopped racing, so the dad said I could borrow her bike at the track. So I did my first race at the old Gilroy track out in the orchard on my friend's sister's bike. And I raced for about a good month and a half or so, and then the track closed. So we had a couple summers off, and they opened the new track in Gilroy, and then I started up again, and just never stopped. It was from doing locals to doing states to starting to do regionals, then to nationals, and then going on and on to our first world's trip, and still working a lot. And I was one of the few pros who had to work full time, go to school full time, and race full time. It was a lot for me. So I actually got hurt working, and they said I wasn't gonna be able to ride again because I had a 3rd-degree separation of my shoulder, and so I stopped racing and was working because I had lost my job. Fox Racing gave me a job, so I started building their bike program there. They didn't have one at the time. It was just, I think it was Robbie Morales, Craig Reynolds, and Foster Brothers were the only ones. And then we brought in T1 and then built the team out from there. And then through that, kind of rode a little bit again, but not too much, just for fun. And then on to DC shoes. I was still riding. I was racing Vet Pro. It was just rad, working with like the DK team, the Huffy team, all of them from Fox to there, because we kind of sponsored the same riders. So I kind of had the same kind of roster when I moved over to DC shoes, and racing the Robbie Miranda Puerto Rico spectacular race. That was my last pro race, and I won cruiser, so I was super psyched. There was just a big pile up. Kiyomi, Todd, everybody crashed in the last turn, and I didn't. So I was really excited for that. And that was really my last race. And I really didn't race for 12, 14 years after that. And then just started racing again when I had my son because he was on the strider and he wouldn't stop. So I'm like, I'm going to take him to the track. I took him to the track. The first day he rode for 2 hours straight. It was like 109 degrees. He didn't want to stop for water or nothing. He just kept riding. Like, I think this is something he wants to do. So I was riding mountain bikes at the time for with Mongoose, with one of their freestyle guys. And we were working on product and taking him to events. And I kind of fell into like a rider management role, kind of, to help promote some of the riders I was helping out. And they said, "Hey," Mongoose said, "we're gonna we're gonna come back to racing. You know, we know you used to race. Would you want to help us with that?" And I was like, "How are you gonna do it? And because they had the ability to throw a lot of money at it, and but they said, "No, we want to make a bike that's economical, like a great frame. Parts are going to be decent to ride, but we want it to be affordable and to get people back to the track." And I said, "I'm 100% down with that." And they kind of tasked me to start the first grassroots Mongoose team, and that's what we started. It was started with a bike company, with a bike shop, but then he did it for like a year, and he just kind of so. I absorbed the team and took it under my brand LRC, and the LRC Mongoose team started, and we've been growing and moving ever since then. So and it's still going today, and we have 40 kids, and I'm loving the opportunity that Mongoose gave me to do this, because we're really building experiences at events for these kids and teaching them how to navigate through the racing world, which eventually will help them, I think, in the rest of their lives.
Absolutely, man. That is cool. That's an awesome story. And I actually just saw that because you were just commenting what you finished by commenting on the kids and the navigation of their lives. And you just posted something yesterday talking about your son and where it all started, and how the beginning of that was just a desire to be able to help your son do something and be a part of something. And how he was really the inspiration for that. And it's clear the way that I've seen you run the team, the way that you communicate and interact with the team is really cool. So it's clear that what you want to accomplish is where you're heading with that. So no, that's awesome.
I don't want to do my team like every other team out there, like, "Hey, that kid's number one, you should get him for the team," or this and that. I really want to build, I call it a tent dynamic. Like, I want my tent to not just be the coolest place for the world, but the coolest place for us. Like, just very low drama. Everybody's really positive. Everybody's willing to give a hand to everybody on the team, and we're all there together, right? We're not just, "Oh, he's here, he's here." It's like, no, we're here, and we're here to get out there and do our best, and be on the wall yelling for our intermediates to our older pros. I mean, our older experts. So it's a really good time, and I really value and appreciate the team that I built, because they're all awesome riders and they have super awesome parents.
That's cool. Well, okay. So a quick question on the team. I've been wanting to ask you, what does LRC stand for?
Revolution Cafe. That's my online shop, I want to say. I started it when my son was born, because I was like, I want to do my own thing. And since I kind of arranged my work schedule so I could be home during the day with my son, and then my wife could work during the day, and then I would work at night. So with that, as I like, I've always wanted to do my own thing, so I started La Revolution Cafe, online, and I wanted to build. I didn't want to build like Dwayne's bike shop because then it's be like a gun store, right? You don't go there unless you need something. So I did La Revolution Cafe to kind of encapsulate everything that I think is rad. So from, you know, working with BMX, working with motocross guys, working with mountain bike guys, working with Formula Drift guys, it's like I work with all these people and I help them out. So it's like, why don't I put something together that can kind of go in any direction and kind of be like a lifestyle brand, pretty much. Um, so I built it, and I always think, well, what was so cool about the bike shops back in the day? It was that was a place you went to hang out, see new stuff, see the new videos. Really, like, I bet you well, I ended up working at that bike shop, but I bet you they hated me before I worked there because I was always there because I was like, oh, their new video, or you get any new stuff? Like, I was all about that. So I built this online page to have we update the news every 2 weeks. We put like 4 articles up that we feel are interesting. Me and my buddy, and he's our team photographer, David Rivera. Um, we put up articles that we feel not impactful but informative or really cool. We put up 4 articles. We put up a video of the week, just so it's kind of you could go there and be like, oh, I wonder what's new. A spot to kind of see that. I put up a schedule of like events going on from uh, motocross, supercross stuff, BMX, some mountain bike stuff. The schedules are kind of hard to figure out. The nationals, any pump track stuff. I try to put it on just a calendar and kind of list what's up on the events page. I have our team stuff up there, so you can link to our kids' social media, and you can see who's on our team, from the factory team to our AM team. Um, I just feel everybody deserves a little space and a little recognition. So I do that, and then we just started opening up the sales side. We just have a bunch of T-shirts and stuff on there right now, um, and so I have stuff on there from Mongoose, and yeah, I would really like to populate it with products from our partners, our partners, and kind of help sell their stuff, because ultimately that's why they support our team, is to try to generate sales. So this is kind of my way of helping with that. And then, I don't want to sell like tubes and stuff, because that's what your local bike shop's for. Like, go to your local bike shop. I don't need to sell every single thing. I just want to sell the cool stuff.
That's awesome. Man, that's awesome. And your story of your local bike shop, and like, you worked there, but they probably hated you because you just kept coming around. And we didn't have like a hangout a space. It wasn't super conducive to my local bike shop to hanging out, but my friend and I were always there. Same way, like every day after school, we would ride our bikes over to the bike shop. And, and every single day you're there trying to see what's new. And you get new product like once every 2 weeks, once every month, maybe, like
Right. You never know though,
yeah, but they might have something, and what if it's there and we don't see it? And so anyway, yeah, they finally gave me a job at 15. The owner, he kept saying, he's like, once you turn 16, come back and tell me, that you want a job. And I was like 15 and a half, and I was like, I'm done with all my traveling and trips for the summer. And he goes, all right, show up on Monday. And then actually a quick funny story to that is that I got there, I waited like 2 hours, like literally just hanging around, and nobody thought it was weird because that was what I did all the time. I was there for like 2 hours, and the owner forgot that he had said that to me. So finally somebody said, hey, why are you here? And I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for the owner to come in. And he goes, let me call him. And he goes, oh yeah, he forgot. You can just start working over here.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I was extra bad at our shop because it was literally across the street from my grandparents' house. So, and that's where I lived. So I was there always.
And
always.
then when they're
I
like,
never
go
bought
home.
anything.
Yeah, when they say go home, then you're like, I am practically home. I'm
right.
Don't you have to be home? No, I just waved at my grandparents. They're fine.
Right? They know where I'm at.
Dang it, like, what do we do to get rid of this kid?
Right. Give him a job so he'll hate it.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously that didn't work either. So, obviously you still like playing with bikes. So
One of those things of when I did live with my dad, he never would buy me a BMX bike because he'd say, "Oh, you're just going to outgrow it and kind of give it up." And then so through our family dynamic, I think I'm just trying to show him I ain't going to quit.
that's awesome. I mean, that's where stubbornness really becomes a trait. It's a good quality.
If you talk
Yeah.
to the pros, you talk to really high level athletes, they're very stubborn. You know, it's you have to have that will to that no matter what, I'm going to make it happen, and kind of it's not, I don't even think it's a selfishness. I think it's just being stubborn enough to tell yourself you have to, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get a job in this direction or this field, and or I'm going to make that main no matter what, like I'm going to. It's just having being able to visualize it to make it come to reality, and that comes with being very stubborn. And that's why I always tell my son he's going to be amazing because he's the most stubborn person I've ever known in my life.
I talk to my wife and I talk about that too. I'm like, they're gonna change the world someday, but right
Right?
now we have to get them there.
Yeah.
So,
I just need him to make his bed. That's all I need right now.
okay, so obviously you're a little bit stubborn because I heard a rumor that you won a title without actually having a bike. So tell me about this in your days of racing pro.
It wasn't pro. I was still an amateur.
Okay.
Um, I didn't. I was on my own dime. Like I was working full time and going to school full time and racing, and I didn't have a cruiser, but I really liked racing cruiser. So when I would go to a national, I would just see like a 16X kid or something that had a little gap between my race and their race, and I'll be like, "Hey, can I borrow your cruiser? Because lines forgot mine, whatever." And oh yeah, yeah, you can use it. So I'd use it, or I can't remember who I was riding for that year, but or I had a teammate there or something. I'm gonna use your cruiser. All right, so we swap out for the race, and I ended up winning NBL national title on cruiser, not owning a cruiser. So that's pretty awesome.
That's super cool. Wow. Yeah, that's just awesome. I heard about that. Oh, my dad told me that actually at Dirty Fest. And he mentioned that to me. And then most of this year, as I've traveled around and I've hit up local tracks, I haven't had a race bike all year. I mean, right now my race bike is a 99 Schwinn Superstock 2. And so that's what I have for racing class on. But I was racing on my skate park bike a little bit too. So as I'd go to local tracks, if they would have loaner bikes, I'd hop on one. So that was when I got on a title at Hardesty, and I got on one of the chases at Sand Springs, Oklahoma. And anyway, but I've raced like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different bikes this year, and jumped on a DK Swift at my local track to race. And anyway, but it's kind of fun jumping on because you have this added one, like you said, the stubbornness of just like, no, I'm gonna win, like regardless of what bike I'm on, I'm gonna win, or plastic pedals, I'm gonna win. And but then also the added challenge of like, I gotta figure out this bike and I gotta figure out how to beat these guys.
Sure. Yeah, and I always say too, it's not really the bike, it's the rider. Like if someone's fast, like they can win on a beach cruiser. It
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like they're gonna go fast on no matter what they have. That's what I always would say about Joey Garcia. Like, dude, that kid's just good. He was that kid that he'd try it and be like the best in the world the first time he ever tried it, you know, and he'd be laughing doing it at the same time, and some people are just like that. I mean, I'm not like that 100%. I've had my moments of it, but yeah, if you're a fast rider, you can adapt, you can make it work, as long as you're not just like, oh, my bottom bracket has to be this size and it has to be this size tire and the gear ratio. I mean, if you're not that particular, like, oh, you're so easy, oh, just pedal faster, or whatever. So it's just kind of like I'm a people would say not now because I'm kind of a bike snob because I really love making awesome bikes right now. But at the end of the day, it's run what you brung,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the core of BMX, I think, because if you watch old videos and some of the bikes, you're like, man, how did they ride that bike? You know, even like going to Dirty Fest in Frogtown, it's just like you see these men riding these little tiny bikes, and it's just like, dude, that's crazy. Like, how do you even run that
Yeah.
crazy fork that looks like a real fork that you eat food with, you know, and
And
heavy ass moto mags and things like that. You know, it's just
19-inch
it's
top
crazy.
tubes. Yeah.
It's just like I can't not hit my knees on the grips. You
Exactly.
know, but you know that's what they had, and they were happy to have it, and they ran it their hardest, and that's I kind of draw back to that of like, hey, I can't complain about what I got to run it to my best ability, you know, and at the end of the day, it's riding BMX, so it's awesome.
Absolutely. I agree.
Right.
Okay, so the next question I want to ask you about is you are I constantly seeing pictures of you with LRC and you're at your pump track and stuff, but it seems like you are always working to make an impact on your local BMX community. And I know you're a little ways away from your local tracks, but what kind of things are you doing in order to impact the riders that you have locally?
I think the main thing is to show them we're kind of all in the same boat, you know, like, and also too that there's always the bike community. I think is one of the raddest communities because especially like at the pump track. Because have you ever been to a pump track and seen people not happy? It's just really weird. It's a
That's
really
true.
weird thing. You know, everybody's just kind of psyched. Everybody's kind of helping each other. Everybody's kind of pushing each other. And I just ride at the pump track a lot because it's a lot closer for me. It takes a while to get to the tracks from my location, and they race on Friday, which is the most traffic, and it's an all day ordeal for me to get to the track. But I really try to support my local community because it's one, it's where I live, and if it's more bike friendly and there's more riders and more people know each other, then there's more stuff for us to do, right? And then two, just trying to be an advocate for whenever the city next to us is trying to put in a pump track or they're going to put in a bike park. Like I go to those meetings, I go to those forums, and I really try to push how good they are for communities and how good bike riding is for the kids and for the adults and for a family unit. And I just really want to keep kids stoked because I know, you know, if you're at the trails or you're at the track and you get a flat and you're just like, oh man, my day's done. So it's like I don't know how many times I've taken the tube out of my bike so some kid could ride, or I always bring my big toolbox with me. I'll see a kid with his bars in his lap. Hey, you want me to move your bars up? And sometimes they say yeah, sometimes nah, I'm fine. And who's this weird old guy? You know, but I really just want to make sure that they're having a good time and they're safe, so then they'll want to do it again, you know. So the more you could get them to be psyched on it, and I try to be like, hey, you know, the local kids here, I have a text group. I'm like, hey, I'm going to the punt track on Wednesday, just heads up, I'll be there around 3. And then, you know, 3 4 people show up. Some of my kids will drive down from another area on the team, you know, and then it'll end up being a cool day. Everybody, all right, cool, let's go to Jamba Juice after and wrap it up, you know. And I just dig it so much because I get so much out of riding, and just trying to sprinkle that to these new riders and to local kids of how vast and how far you can go in this sport, you know. Uh, I just want to open those little windows of light for them to see, oh wow, you did that, or you did this, or wow, he gave me the grips off his bike because I was just holding on to my handlebars, you know. And it's just like, you know, there's no reason for me to have a bunch of parts in my garage, right? They're not being used for anything. So if I could help out a kid out that really needs it, like he needed a new back tire, like you can see the cords on it, or it's all rotted out or something, you know, that kid's gonna be riding, having a good time, have a blowout, and maybe get hurt. You know, it's like I have another tire at home. I'll just give him mine. You know, so it's just one of those things of kind of spreading the joy of riding with more people. So then I get to get more joy by helping. That's kind of my philosophy with it.
Which is cool. Yeah, and I think that goes back to the conversation that you were talking about. You and I were talking about with LRC, and you mentioned the team dynamic, but you were also talking about creating experiences. So then going from the local community is you're obviously trying to create experiences there. You're trying to show them that, you know, you're really one group of people that are all in the same boat. Like, hey, we're here to ride bikes and have fun, and letting them know, which is super cool, that you're heading to the pump track. And then you were talking about within your tent, before we started recording, is you were talking about the dynamic of the LRC tent, and you want to create those experiences, that place to hang out, that place to just have a really good time and create a family dynamic, which is cool.
Like when we spoke before, is I'm trying to like create the family I never had, you know. So it's I've been on teams and traveled with, you know, a lot of stress in the tent because somebody thinks they should have something, or why did that dude get this, or they're not doing good, so that parent's going crazy on them, or just so, and it's hard to navigate and juggle personalities. But what I try to do is make sure that the people that are on our LRC Mongoose team, big part of that, you know, because I want the parents to understand that I appreciate all the efforts they're doing to get the kids to these races, to do the stuff they need to do to participate in this sport. And by doing that, I want to place our tent to be very comfortable. You know, it's like we really push for the team dynamic, not just to be go win, but it's just like, hey, you know, baby girl's going up for her second round and she hasn't made a main yet this year, but let's go cheer her on. You know, it's like we just try to make sure that everybody's kind of down for everybody on the team, and that we're all there for the same reason. We're all there to be super serious for 1 minute on the track. The rest of the time, hey, let's take some photos, or you know, last weekend, you know, take a picture of those kids driving the golf cart. And you know, it's just like it's not like we're troublemakers, but we just want to, I want to try to make a weekend they'll remember, because we're going to have so many of these weekends, and so many times I've traveled and I've raced and I've done for work that I know where the airport, the venue, my hotel, and Taco Bell are at, you know, and that's across the country. I've been probably to every single state, been all over the world, and I really haven't seen anything because I never took the time, or I never was with a group that's just like, hey, let's check this out. You know, I kind of got that from the Garcias. They're really really awesome family dynamic and awesome riders. Jimmy and Joey Garcia and their parents are amazing, and you know, and then traveling with them to races, I really got to see like kind of how it should be, you know, because both of those parents are teachers, so they have really good low energy, the kind of positive attitudes. And I was like, this makes racing so much easier, instead of seeing that little Johnny over there getting yelled at because he got third in his second round, and his parents are, why would we spend all this money to come if you're not gonna make it? You know, it's just like that's not cool. You know, it's everybody has their day and everybody has a bad day. But at the end of the day is, can we make this a trip, right? And it's not even like going all out and spending all kinds of money, but it's just like, hey, this is a crazy venue we're at. Let's go walk around and check it out, you know, or
Yeah.
what where do the locals eat at, you know, something like that, or just doing some cool stuff. And you know, maybe getting little pods. It's hard to take 20 people out to dinner, right? So it's just like, hey, well, this group go on Friday, this group go on Saturday, and maybe we'll all try to go somewhere after the race when we're going to go home, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, making sure that, you know, we're all there for each other. And I think that's what really bonds our team together, because we have some amazing riders and we have some real amazing parents on the team.
That's cool. Yeah, and those experiences, those things are what people remember. So you know, you're going for the reason. That's the reason is what brings us all there together. But which is typically the racing, or you know, the bikes in general, we'll just say. But then it's the memories, those moments that people actually remember. And I mean, a great example of that is I was talking um to somebody the other day, and he told me about what my son had told him was his memory from going to the LA Dodgers game. And so like the quick summary of this, and kids are great to learn from, and if you can like glean that wisdom from them. We were in out in Acton, California, out near east of Valencia, and we're hanging out there, and a friend gets a hold of me and says, "Hey, my husband works for the Dodgers and got some extra tickets. Do you want to go to a game?" And we are like, "Yeah, we'd love to." So instead of driving into LA and having to deal with parking and traffic and everything, we were like, let's take the Metro Link from Acton, and then we'll go to the stadium, and it'll be like a 2-hour train ride, and that'll be fun for the kids. And then get on the shuttle and go to the stadium, and then we'll head back. Well, all of that. And my friend was talking to my son, my 5-year-old, and goes, "Hey, I heard you got to go to a baseball game." And he's like, "Yeah, we did." And he goes, "Cool. What was your favorite part? What did you like about it?" We ate French fries out of a baseball helmet. And that was the one thing that he remembered. Like, he remembered eating fries out of a helmet. He didn't talk about the train. He didn't talk about the baseball game. Nothing else mattered. It was like that one experience. And so, I mean, to your point, is the thing that we typically remember is the effort that somebody made for us, or, it's very different from the reason that we're there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's if you notice the prize wheel I made for swag at Frogtown. Um, I put half of them are winner, half of them are high five. And this one kid spun it, and he was just like, "Oh," I was like, "What happened?" He's just like, "I won." I was like, "That's cool." Like, I had some sunglasses and stickers for him. He's like, "I really wanted a high five." I was like, "I'll give you one of those anyways." And I thought that was really cool. And kids were kind of getting really stoked on giving a high five, kind of more than just winning some stuff, which was really cool.
That is super cool, man. I didn't know that. I was over there a few times. I never actually saw anyone spin the wheel, but that's pretty awesome.
Broken the last day, so it wasn't too active.
Oh, dang. Yeah. um, Man, that's cool. So I mean, the whole goal, and like I said, the reason I want to talk to you is because of the impact that you're making. And I appreciate that so much. One of the things that we were talking about leading up to this was the things that kids learn. And so that they learn from BMX as a whole, because I mean, I think we could probably go on for days and days on a conversation of the benefits of BMX. But from your perspective and what you see kids learn and the skills that they build for life and everything, can you talk a little bit about that and why you're so passionate about helping them?
I think BMX, I call it a foundation sport. So basically, the things you're going to learn in BMX are going to kind of help you in any direction you go. Um, it's such a demanding sport, and it's very individual. Like, if you lose, it's not because your teammate did this or your coach did that, or you might have had a mechanical, so maybe your parent did it. But at the end of the day, it's all on you. So you really learn how to deal with a lot of pressure, a lot of accountability on yourself. And then also too with gaining, if you get anywhere decent in BMX, you gain great spatial awareness. You know where you're at in the world. Especially on the bike, you know how far the front tire is, the back tire is, where your sides are. In just learning how to deal with losing, learning how to be a winner at the same time, and setting goals and trying to achieve those. So like, okay, next race, I'm going to try, to make that get out of my motos. And then you do it. Okay, I got out of my motos. The next race, I'm going to try to, or even that same day, right? Okay, I got out of motos. I got to get out of that semi. And then you get out of that semi and you're in the main. It's like, okay, I want to win, but I'm going to get top three. You kind of set realistic goals up for yourself. And it's also too, one of those sports is you only get out of it what you put in. You can be the best rider in the world, but if you don't do those sprints, you don't do a little bit of weight training, you don't do a little bit of off track training, you're just kind of going to be where you're at. You really have to put a lot in to get a lot out of the sport. And I really think that shows kids a value of their time and their effort. And that going to anywhere, like going to college or even high school or going to an employer, knowing how to deal with stress, deal with adversity, being able to deal with having to work hard to get a good result, I think is just awesome for any kid moving forward. Because kids that did good in BMX They do good in soccer, they do good in football, they do good in motocross, they do good in kart racing, they do good anything where you got to do on the fly calculations physically. They're very, very, very good at. And my buddy Bill Sharp, who used to own Sharp Sprockets back in the day, um, he played for the San Diego Chargers, and he said he was a defensive player because he'll always say, I play defense because I'm not that smart. But it's just, but his coach told him, you need to play offense. He's like, there's too many plays. I don't want to do all that stuff for offense and blah blah blah. He's like, yeah, but he's just like, the coach asked him, he's like, what did you do when you were a kid? What sports? He's like, I raced BMX. And he's just like, well, that explains a lot. And he's like, why? He's like, because you have the fastest footwork of any of our linemen here. And he got that from pedaling his bike, from being able to move his legs really fast. And that's why they wanted to move him to offense. And it's just rad knowing that, even like, Jeremy McGrath used to race BMX, and he went on to be probably the best of all time in motocross. And he rode different than everybody else because he rode it like a BMX bike. And there was a NASCAR guy. It'd be kind of cool to see a list of professional athletes in other sports that had a BMX background. I think it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, you could take BMX in any direction, especially mountain bike. Like it's like, if you want to make money in this sport, that's where you go. And BMX is the blueprint to get over there and be good. So it's definitely, like I said, I call it a foundation sport because it's the base of kind of any direction you want to go in sports.
That's cool. And what I tell people when I'm out mountain biking with somebody and they'll ask about, my riding style or, riding, because I don't typically ride with clipless pedals. So I'm on flats and I try to spend as much time in the air as I can. And I'm pretty flowy, and generally I ride a hardtail. And so anyway, like I love riding that way. And people are always asking me like, oh, how did you do this? Or how do I learn to ride better? How do I learn to bunny hop better, jump better? And usually I tell people, go out and grab a skate park bike, spend, $350, $400 or buy something used, but go buy a BMX bike. And first step for a lot of these people that start out on like a full suspension mountain bike is drop off of a curb on a BMX bike, and you'll see how not smooth you are. You'll immediately find out what you don't know about bikes, and you learn how to ride that bike smooth. And so, there's the racing side of it, but there's also the pump track, the skate parks, like all that stuff, and dirt jumping, all that stuff that plays into helping create kids that are transitional and understand a lot of things, and then creates just killer athletes. And I think, I think that you even watch motocross racers that, you were talking about Jeremy McGrath, and you see guys that grew up on a bike, and you don't have the same level of correction from a bike that you do with a motorcycle, And so anyway, I think some of those riders are just a little bit smoother.
Who's been number one forever right now is Eli Tomac. The Tomac name is synonymous in bicycle, period. And it's just, that time and agility on a bike, it translates over. And it's funny. I've told a lot of people that I mountain bike with, like, you should try BMX. They're like, no way, that's crazy. That I'm like, dude, you're riding giant stuff, but you think riding BMX is crazy. But it comes down to the bike, right? It's a BMX bike is a Formula One car of bicycles, right? It's like every input, every output, every little twitch and move, and you're gonna feel every single thing, and you can't make a mistake, right? Because you'll go over. Like you have to be so precise on it, or you're gonna crash. That's all there is to it. And then it's like, oh well, a cruiser is kind of more like a NASCAR, right? It's fast, it's nimble, but it's a little bit more stable, not so sketchy, right? And then you go, oh well, a mountain bike's or go to a dirt jumper after that, right? That's kind of more like a trophy truck, right? It's just like, it could go over stuff, it jumps, it's very aggressive, it jumps high and jumps far. And then you go to a mountain bike, and that's like a monster truck, right? It's like go over everything, it's just mash through it and just keep going. And input isn't, it's very important, but it's not as technical when you break it down to a BMX bike, and the hardest transition I have is going from my mountain bike to BMX, because BMX to mountain bike's easy, the transition up, because everything kind of slows down. It's a little more stable, a little more under control. But when you go from that and then you go back to BMX, you're like, holy mackerel, this thing's crazy. And you really appreciate how much your input is translated to the bike, because it's, from your knee out to your knee in, butt back, leaning forward, barely, you're pulling more than pushing, it's just like BMX bikes are gnarly, and those guys, especially at the pro level, like Cam and them, like I was never like that. But they're next level how they ride those bikes. It's crazy. I don't understand. And I do it, you know.
It's just a different level of riding. It's yeah.
Sure.
No, that's cool. So what would you say are is your local racing community? Because obviously you're a little ways away from tracks, but
And I'm not driving an hour to get to a local. It'd be San Diego BMX would be my local track, with Tyler and them out there. But our local group is like Johnny Ogra, Aquaman, Eric Simmons, his kids, Milo Jones, my son, Dale Holmes is out there, Jason Richardson's out there. So we have a crazy group. Birdman, um, few other guys. Michael Larian goes out there once in a while and races, which is really cool to see. And we have a gnarly local group. Like practice days, it's some of the top guys in our class, or in our older class, are there practicing. They have some amateurs, the younger groups. They have some fast kids too. Tyler puts on a really good program. He's a lot of intermediates and beginners at that track, but the track is amazing. It's one of the fastest, most technical tracks there is in California, and that's kind of saying a lot. With the Olympic Training Center being 20 minutes from there, but as far as we can ride, it's one of the best tracks out there. Tyler's done an amazing job turning that track around, and I give him all the props all day long for it, because I see he shows it. He posts a lot, So when he's
yes,
working on the track, when he's changing something, when they're resurfacing it, when they get a new gate, when they're and it's awesome to see that, because that was our local track. We didn't go a lot because the track wasn't awesome before,
oh,
when it was Kearney Mesa BMX. But since Tyler's taken it over, it's done 180 degrees, and he's really doing the BMX community a solid by all the hard work he's done.
that's really cool. Well, what would you say if somebody was listening to this and was looking to help encourage riders on a local level, and encourage new riders, maybe in the neighborhood, the community, whatever, to get involved in BMX? Obviously, you come from it with you work in the industry, you help out with a team on that level. But what would it look like for somebody who is trying to get more riders connected with local tracks and with the sport as a whole?
Well, one, you have to give them that information, right? So you always have to be kind of an ambassador for the sport whenever you're out in the public or riding. Luckily for me, I ride for Mongoose, so I wear a Mongoose shirt almost everywhere I go, and every single day somebody tells me, "Mongoose like the bikes." My first bike was a Mongoose. That's why we made that shirt. My first bike's a Mongoose, because I literally hear it every single day, which strikes up a conversation about BMX, which is cool. And but as far as not having that across their chest, just when you're out riding, just remember why you're riding, right? You're riding not just for training, but because it's fun. BMX is awesome, and share that awesomeness, right? Because that awesomeness is infectious. You see a kid trying to jump something, just be just like, when he rolls back up to the start again, be like, "Hey, try it again, dude. You got it." Encourage them, help them. Just be that advocate that's like inspiring radness all the time. I really try to involve the people around. The parents on the side. You see their kid, and you're like, "Is that your kid?" "Oh yeah, that's my kid." Blah blah blah. I had him. He didn't have school today or whatever. Oh, that's awesome. Do you bring him here a lot? Kind of start a conversation to kind of employ them. It's like, ah, oh, look, those kids, their bike's different. Oh, that's a race bike, a race bike. There's racetracks. That's what they always say, right? And it's like, yeah, there's one down the 15 that way and one down the 15 that way. Oh, how much is it? And I tell them like, oh, that's like soccer. Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. You should definitely try it. If he's digging riding bikes, he'll really dig the track. At least go try. I always try and I'll end up giving them the address to the track or just go to their Facebook page and check it out and stuff like that. Just really being an advocate and really us older riders that have been doing it for a long time. It's I think it's kind of our duty to give back to the sport that way and and to give back to the sport and to keep it thriving and keeping it surviving is going to be those new kids, us older riders. ah, we've been there, done that. We're pretty jaded about stuff, but at the end of the day, it's those new kids that are psyched and they have that glisten in their eyes still of, oh, I made it around the track without falling. That's the accomplished goals to start that foundation, right? And sometimes kids go from riding at the local pump track to the track, and as soon as they figure out the gate, they're instantly killing it because these pump tracks are really, really breeding a whole new field, and the cool thing is it's free. So you can try in your local level, but that's a progression step, right? Okay, you rode the pump track. Let's try the racetrack now, Or and then I tell them it's like, oh, are you going to be there? I'm like, probably not, but if you see me next time, ask again, and maybe I'll go the next time or something, And I'm always down to try to encourage a new rider to go there, no matter what they're riding or who they're. Nobody's really riding for anybody at the pump track, but it's just like we're all BMX, at the end of the day, and we just need to encourage more BMX, I think, because the more BMX, the more better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because kids on bikes, kids outside, adults on bikes, right? And even to that, like, it doesn't have to be kids that are going to the track, that are going to the pump track, but you can be, you and I were talking about the fact that my dad and I raced together. Like, there's 3 generations of Oaks on the track. When my kids are there, my dad's there, and I'm there. And which is fun because there are not a lot of other sports that you can do with your dad and your grandpa at the same time.
And the good thing with that is like you're not going to tell your son to pedal because you know where you have to pedal and you know how hard it is. And I think that's a good thing too with newer parents is they're always on the fence, pedal, pedal, and that's why I made the pedal 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 shirt because then it's just like you don't got to say it, just wear the shirt, but then I can't even count how many times I've handed a parent, go try it,
Yeah.
handed them my bike and said, go try it. And you pedal where you're telling your kid to pedal.
Yeah.
And half of them take it up. And, my wife tried it for the first time a few years when we had my son's birthday party at San Diego BMX. And she's like, I'm never telling him to pedal again. Like, this is so hard. So it's real eye opening, and then the track is different too, right? Because it's different surfaces, different obstacles. You have other people around you, unlike, a bike park or a pump track, something like that. You're up there with 7 other guys in practice most of the time or a main event. And that's a different dynamic altogether, not just trying to ride it yourself, but trying to navigate the way they're riding. And yeah, I think it's a great experience, but I definitely always try to at least encourage people to try the track. So.
That's cool. No, I appreciate that. And I think that it's cool seeing your impact that you continue to make and the conversations that you're having. And anytime I see the team anywhere, they seem to be having a really good time. So I definitely appreciate what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, thank you for joining me today and having a conversation and being an advocate for the sport as a whole. And thank you for reaching out to the local kids and saying, hey, I'm going to the track at or the pump track at this time. And if you want to join me, and, being somebody that they can look up to as a role model and somebody that they can respect and have fun with. So that's really cool.
Thank you. That means a lot. I mean, I really try. It's not even that I want kids to look up to me. It's like I want to see what they're doing, because I still always try to push my riding a little bit, and these kids today are amazing. Especially some of these local pump track kids that's all they do. Like they're doing lines that are crazy and transferring stuff, and it's just like how'd you even think about doing that? I'm in awe of them too. So I'm kind of a fan of theirs. So if I'm a fan of theirs, yeah, I want to kick it with you. I want to ride with you. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a mutual thing. It's that they're with me, they're just like, ah, you go so fast, and but then some of these pump track kids, like they're so fast, and that's just Tuesday for them, you know, and seeing that, and I really do appreciate their skill level. And as I get older, my skill level goes down too, and so it's kind of reinvigorating, and kind of I think that's what keeps me young too, is riding with these younger riders, and just sharing that the psychness of being out a day riding. If it's at the track, at the pump track, wherever, I'm just psyched to ride, and having that infection and being infectious is really awesome. I learned a lot of that from our team rider, my friend Michael Laren, freestyle X Games athlete, and he's next level on. It's crazy. Like you'll see him filming a kid with their GoPro because they're just like, "Will you film me doing this?" And he'll stop doing what he's doing and film them, for them. And it's just like a writer at that caliber. That's crazy. But he's just like, no, man, that kid's psyched. I want to help him be psyched. Like so. It's like his attitude is real infectious, and I'm really really psyched that he lives here in San Diego now. So my son could spend time with someone like that, not just because he's an awesome writer, he's just an awesome person. And I think at the end of the day, we could all work out more, ride more to become great writers, but to be a great person at the same time is extra amazing. And hopefully that's the attitude and kind of the exposure I'm giving these kids, not just on my team, but in the local places I ride, is that, hey, we ought to be cool. High fives after, oh, he cleared the double on the pump track. He'll come back. I'm like, give me a fist pump, kid. That was awesome. Like, and then he's just like, oh, okay. Then he's all hyped up about it. And it's just like, just, just keeping that energy up is I think what I really try to do, because if you look back at all the problems, all the bills you got and stuff like that, you could get overwhelmed and get down. But when you're out there on the bike, that's where everything disappears, and it could be your release. And that's what I use it for. And that release is me being excited and me riding with these other people. Is number one, I don't like riding by myself anyways. And two, I've hit my head so much when I fall, I tend to go to sleep. So at least someone will know me. So that's always a positive thing too. But at the end of the day, I really, really, really like riding with people, and I like just the infectiousness of it, because it really makes me feel good and makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And helping these kids is just second nature for me, because I think I give these kids what I always wanted and wasn't able to get. And I don't regret any day or ever helping anybody in any direction. There can be some relationships that were good and some that turned out bad, but the middle, I don't want to ever give back. And that's the part I think drives me to keep doing and doing more, because I'm like addicted to the feeling of sharing this sport that gave me so much.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, you were talking about Michael, and man, that guy, a couple comments on him, like that's inspiring. Like the way that he would stop, and take videos of kids, in the same way that you're going out of your way and making effort. And, but anyway, stopping and taking video, like those kids will remember that. We were talking about making memories, creating those formational Is that a word, formational? I don't know. Those core memories.
Yeah.
And anyway, and then another note on that guy is we got some my wife and I got pictures of him at Dirty Fest, and that guy, his gear, his helmet, and the way that he, like, whatever he was wearing, he just had like the coolest photos that we got at Dirty Fest.
Oh, he gets so psyched up about BMX. Like, he had never raced BMX until 2 years ago, I think. I was like, you gotta race. Like, we ride for Mongoose, we make a rad bike. You used to run track. I know you can go fast. You do the biggest airs in the world on mega ramp. Like, you know how to
Yeah.
go fast and control yourself. And he's like, all right. So we started going to the track. And he's just like, all right, so how's this work? I was like, well, probably for you and your schedule, the state series would probably be the easiest thing to do, right? And it's just like, he's a beginner, he's doing ridiculously good, right? And so it's just like, well, you gotta go to intermediate. Like, this isn't fair for these other dudes. They're getting all mad, like, that dude's in the X Games and blah blah. And but he's so psyched about BMX that when we're gonna do a race, he's like, he's very, very cognitive. Like, he thinks so much about everything. And I think you kind of got to be at that level, especially what he does, like all those tricks and stuff. Like, you have to be mentally on it to do it, pretty much.
I can hardly tell what they're doing in the air when I'm watching it, let
Right.
alone to be doing it.
No, for sure. And he'll send me a picture. He's like, I got my kit laid out. And he'll have his whole uniform laid out on the bed, like helmet, goggles, gloves, the jersey he's gonna wear, the pants, the shoes, the laces for the shoes. Like, he's like that. Like, this is my kit, because he is enamored by BMX racing. He's like, it's so cool. That's why he wears the old school helmet, and things like that, because he's just like, he digs the vibe of it so much, like the purity of it, right? That when he goes, he wants to make sure he looks cool, and like, even making, when he was wearing that like olive green jersey with the checkerboards and stuff like that, like,
Yeah.
I want you to make my jersey, but I kind of want it like this, and I kind of want it like that. And so I kind of give him a couple of renditions of it, and he's like, okay, well, can we make this checkerboard just like eighth of an inch smaller? And like, he's just like so meticulous like that. But it's rad because he wants to look the best he could look, and he has that picture in his head of how it wants to be, and that's the only way he's gonna do it. Like, it's just like, he's like, I'm gonna do it my way, right? And he's like, and I'm gonna make it look good. I got these brand new Vans that match my shirt, and the laces match my pants. Like, he's like super into it, which is rad, because it's like, I used to be like that so much, and I guess I am kind of still like that, because I like my kit to be dialed in and the team's kits to be dialed in. And it's just like, if you're gonna go out there all the way, right? It's like,
Yeah.
if Randy Stumpfhauser told me, because I used to, when I worked at Fox Racing, the year Randy won the national title in NBL, I would put him in the same race gear that weekend that I put Ricky Carmichael in at the Supercross that weekend. So every weekend, Randy had a new uniform, right? And it was the same one Ricky's wearing that weekend. And when he won the title, it was so rad. He gave me his helmet. He's just like, dude, I couldn't have done this if I didn't look so good. Like, he said he'd be waiting in the trailer waiting for me to come, because I wouldn't show him what it was until I got there, you know?
That's
And
awesome.
so he actually had it on the Friday before Ricky raced on Saturday. So he was like super psyched on it. So that's one of the coolest things of how the impact of your dress amplifies to your style, which amplifies to your bike. It's like having that full kit dialed in, is that I always say win in staging, right? That's why my bike is always clean. That's why my gear is always clean. That's why I try to go in staging first always. So everybody has to look at my dialed in shit. So then they're thinking, why is his shit so they're not thinking about racing no more. They're worried about my kit. So I want to win in staging. You know what I mean? So before we even get to the gate, I already won because I already won because you're tripping out on what I got.
That's awesome.
It even started way back in Sea Otter. Me and Sean Palmer one year said, hey, white t-shirt and jeans to race, because he wasn't riding for Specialized anymore, and I didn't have a bike sponsor. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And that's when I was at DC. So I sent 8 pairs of white shoes there, and it ended up raining. So I had a box at the finish line with a box of shoes. So every lap I did, I put on a brand new pair of shoes. always white every single lap. And people were tripping out so bad on it. It was just awesome. But it's just like the little things of just like, hey, we're gonna do something different. Let's do it the best different we can do it, you know?
Yeah,
And
it's super
and
cool.
and and at the end of the day, it's not just for me to be cool, it's to make what we're doing cooler, right?
Yeah.
So just imagine if everybody did it,
Well, it
you know?
worked because then I mean I found this dude in photos that I didn't get to meet him, and I was really bummed afterwards that I didn't. But I didn't get to meet him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't really see him race because I was up and down the hill at Dirty Fest. And so I'm going through photos and I'm like, who is this? And then I think I saw something on one of maybe on your story or a post about him, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the guy. So then I found him, and um anyway, but man, those were my favorite photos of the weekend. And so, the effort made on the kit, it worked out well.
Psyched to hear that.
Yeah, he got another fan out of it. It's
Awesome.
for whatever it's worth. And then the last thing I was going to mention is, him talking about, uh, are you talking about him videoing the kids? And I was really inspired by that kind of concept because it makes those memories. And I was going into dinner one time with Bob Osborne last summer, and we were walking into the restaurant, and there were some kids right outside the restaurant skateboarding, and they were working on tricks. And it's so easy to like walk past and be like, kids skateboarding, or like ignore them altogether or whatever. And Bob stops and he stands there and he's just like looking at the kids. Everybody else is walking in, and I stop and I'm curious. I'm like intrigued. Like, what is Bob doing? And he's just looking at these kids. And they kind of look up at him and he goes, so what are you working on? And he shows a genuine interest and he wants to know. And the kid goes, oh, I think he was working on Pop Shove-Its or something.
Mm.
And he says this, and Bob it almost sounded kind of like insecure in his answer, like almost apologetic. And Bob goes, well, how's it going? Show me. And
Mhm.
it spends like another, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, not a lot of time out of your life, but a lot of time to that kid who,
Right.
was now empowered by, by somebody that's older than them, that they could look up to and respect, and isn't just saying, oh, you punk kids playing in the street on your
Right.
skateboards.
Right.
And I was just like, it challenged me in the same way that, Michael doing that with the GoPro at the skate park. Like, that's super cool. So I appreciate
Yeah, I
that.
mean, he's also of the kind of idea of if 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 that kid wins, we all win.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like expanding that community to really make kids feel like they're part of it, even though if they're just beginning or they're just getting into the sport, showing that this community is welcoming, right? And it's just like Michael's there to practice some stuff. His first drop in at like Sweetwater is like, all right, I'm gonna warm up. It'll be like 360 opposite, tail whip, and then backflip. Like that's his warm up, his first drop in run, like on the big line at Sweetwater, right? And it's just like people are just like, "Who's this guy?" You hear the chatter going around the whole place after. And then it's just like he'll come back and sit down and he'll be like, "Oh, that jump you did was awesome." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." He's just like, "Just that one or which one?" Like he'll like have a conversation with somebody, which is really awesome to see because, but then he's looking directly in the eyes of this kid and wants to know, like he's having a intimate conversation with this kid he just met. And it's so inspiring to me because I've never been at that level, right? And if he could break down and stop his day to talk with that kid or high five, or he'll be up in this he'll be up in the line waiting to go with everybody, and he'll just strike up a conversation with somebody, hey, you gonna hit the big line this time? Yeah, all right, go get it. Or like give him a little pep to try something, and it's really cool, and that just shows me too is like even though I am older than Michael, and that we could learn from younger people too, and if we don't give them the chance or the time to really hear what they're saying or to get time to know them, then we're missing out too.
Yeah, man, That's inspiring. That's really cool. And because those kids remember that, and they remember that they enjoyed bikes because somebody made time for them and made them feel valuable.
No, for sure. And he's so low key. It'll be just like they'll go home and they're like, "What's your name?" Then they'll find out who he is. You know what I mean? He's just like, "Oh, I'm the X Games dude. You should do it." He's not that guy. He's just like half the time he doesn't even tell him his name. He's just like, "Oh, you're cool. What's your name, buddy? All right, cool. Hey, go get it. You did good that last time." Like he's very, very, very sharp. And he'll just like,
Cool.
"I saw last time you hung up a little bit. You gonna try to make it cleaner?" Like he's like telling him like that. And I try to do that in my own way as well. And I've always done it. And so for me, it's awesome having somebody in my circle that does it too. And then I see it go down to my younger riders, Savannah Stokes, when I first started riding with her before she was on the team. We were there and like, have you hit the big line yet? And she's just like, no, but I'll follow you. And then she follows me through it, and things like that inspire me because it's like, I wouldn't say something like that if I didn't do it yet. I'd have to look at it for half an hour or something first. And then, she's, the last national, she did interviews of my riders, because she's hurt right now and just keeping her involved with team stuff. And she's just like, that was so awesome because she's very quiet. So it was a challenge for her to do it. And she was stoked after. And I'll be putting those together soon to put up on the page. And it's just like all these little tiny things are just creating a picture, right? It's like one of those collage pictures of little pictures. We're just filling in these little boxes of all these little experiences, all these little triumphs, all these little heartaches, all these little accomplishments. We're just filling in this big picture that's going to be our life at the end. And I'm just trying to fill those pictures with as much of course, my son and my wife and BMX. So
That's cool. I love that. Man, one last question for you before you go is, who do you know that I need to know and have on the show?
I think you need to interview. I think a good one would be Biggie, Eric
Okay.
Bartoldes. I think he's lived bike life like crazy, and he's gone from. I just say that too because I missed the opportunity with him, but he's just a rad guy, and he's all about BMX. He's all about doing what he has to do, you know, dealing on the industry side so much, but then his racing was amazing. And then when he came back to race again, he was still rad, and he still rides bikes today. And he's just super, super awesome. He'd be amazing one to hear because he has so many stories about so much stuff. And the teams he dealt with Danny Nelson, with Mario Soto, and then going alongside with the GT guys, with the Lumberjack, and everybody, that was in that circle of the firm. It was just so rad. And he's lived in it, in the middle of it, with TC and everybody. And I think that would be a really good one, would be Eric Bartoldes. I think another one, a lot of people, it'd be hard. It would be like a Craig Reynolds or even a Rick Moliterno would be a cool one. So I know
That'd
I'm
be
being
awesome.
selfish to all people I want to hear stuff from, but yeah, no, that would
Awesome.
be a cool one. And I even think a Randy one would be cool, a Randy Stumphauser, because not a lot
Okay.
of people. He was very quiet. He's a quiet person. He lived out in the middle of nowhere in Sanger, and he just came and just dominated at the track. And I think he'd be a cool one too.
That'd be super cool. I've never had a chance to meet him, but he's from my mid school era. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely remember him riding, but never had a chance to run into him anywhere. So yeah, that'd
So
be
yeah,
super cool.
that'd be my top five to hear, I think.
Okay. Right on. Man, Dwayne,
Or
thank
even a
you so
Michael
much.
one.
Mike, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. I should yeah, I'll get a hold of you and see if you can connect us then. That'd be
No, for
cool because
sure.
I'd love to hear the perspective of him having, somebody in the freestyle space and being able to come in and enjoy racing as much as he does. And yeah. Oh,
No, I think
super
it'd be
cool.
super rad.
Cool, man. Thank you so much again for just for joining me, for being a part of this, for letting me take up some of your time and ask you some questions. And thank you for being a part of helping to grow the sport and helping the next generation of riders.
Heck yeah, and thank you for getting this stuff out there. It's a real testament to you guys doing these podcasts. I really want to give it to you guys because it's without this, there's not really a lot of BMX out there, and for these kids to really get insight and learn about different perspectives in the sport, and I think it's a very, very valuable thing right now, and I applaud you and thank you for having me as your guest.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That means a lot. I appreciate it. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll chat soon.
Heck yeah, thanks a lot, and take it easy.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode. It is because of people like you and our sponsors who make this whole thing possible, because they have a desire to see the sport grow. If you would like to get involved in the mission of BMX Breakthrough, you can start by going to your local track, find a way to volunteer, help out, and serve there. Or you can go to our website, bmxbreakthrough.com, in order to donate, find out about sponsorship, or learn more.